And then for those of you who may not be familiar, we're going to offer a mandala offering to Geshe. It will be very sort of maybe arcane for those of us from the West, but basically it stems from the tradition of at one point, Dharma was very difficult to come across. And so you have kings and people just offering, like looking for gold and offering it just to get one word of the teachings because they were so precious. Of course, now we can take the subway or go on Zoom. Things have changed, but the tradition of the mandala offering has remained. And what we can do as we visualize is really just visualize all the most beautiful and precious things that give us joy. Usually we're attached to them, but we can really transform this into a joyous practice and imagine offering it to all the enlightened beings, all those who have great wisdom and compassion, with a request from our hearts to be able to just receive, teachings and realizations. And also, usually we can also offer them to the welfare of others. Oftentimes when we see things that we like, we say it's mine, but, by offering them to all beings also, it creates this expansive mind of generosity. So that is what we're going to do to start. It's in Tibetan, just feel free to visualize and listen, and just enjoy if you're not familiar with the practice. Okay. All right. And I'm going to screen share for our friends on.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today evening. Can you hear? Is the sound okay? Yeah. So I would like to start with taking a few moments to cultivate and generate good intention, motivation for being here. Then we can think, may us coming here together to listen and to discuss, giving our precious time, become cause and conditions to transform and improve our mind, to become more compassionate, with more wisdom. And so that we can be more beneficial and help to others and oneself. And may it be cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state. Sangye Chodang Soge Chonam La Changchu Padu Dani Gyapson Che Dagi Jin Soge Pe Sonam Ge Dola Penche Sangye Duba Sho Sangye Chodang Soge Chonam La Changchu Padu Dani Gyapson Che Dagi Jin Soge Pe Sonam Ge Dola Penche Sangye Duba Sangye Chodang Soge Chonam La Changchu Padu Dani Gyapson Che Dagi Jin Soge Pe Sonam Ge Dola Penche Sangye. So today's topic, as you all are aware, finding a peace. It means, from challenges, difficulty in our life. Mm. Our life, what we call samsaric life, which means life that is driven by our actions, contaminated actions, and afflictive emotions is, up and down. Life being up and down is part of our life. Of course, nobody wants life up and down. We would like to see it going better and better, up and up. But the fact and reality is everyone experience up and down, that is part of our life, certain years, or certain part in our life, or certain years, certain months, certain days, we feel good, healthy, and there are times when we don't feel so healthy, so physically so healthy. There are times when we have better relationship, good relationship, people around us, families, partners, friends. And then there are times when it's not so easy, when there is conflict, challenges. In our life, in terms of relationships, There are times when economically we do better. But again, also there are times we struggle and when we have more challenge with our economic, situations. There are times when we feel good about ourselves, good about our life, good about the situations, good about the world we live in, or the country and the world we live in. Then there are also times when we don't feel so great about it. There are times when we don't feel so great about it, be it in our own life, with ourselves, with our situations, the situations of the country, the situation in the world that we live. And these all are part of the life, that everyone experience, is natural. That is the nature of the samsaric life. As long as we have that samsaric life, this is part of that life. And I think when we understand and accept that, it helps us to have less conflict with that. Less conflict with your mind towards that means you find more peace despite those difficult, challenging situations, problems. Not understanding the nature of that and not accepting that make it much more difficult and make our mind, we have much more conflict and much more disturbance, and and that make our life, our mind and our life less peaceful, more disturbed. And when we feel more peace, more calm, more positive, we are able to do more positive things, more healthy, more positive to ourselves, to others, to the society, to the world that we live in. On the other hand, when our mind is not peaceful, agitated, disturbed, we tend to hurt ourselves. We tend to harm ourselves more. We tend to do things that hurt and harm ourselves and others. And so therefore, finding calm and peacefulness, regardless of the situations around us, be in our personal life, be in, our families, the state, the country, the world that we live in. And it is possible, regardless of how much challenges, difficulties, problems that there is, it's still possible if we train our mind to find peace and calm. Finding peace and calm doesn't mean turning blind to the situations. Doesn't mean being passive to the situations. Doesn't mean being indifferent to the situations. But while engaging with the situations to improve, to make the positive change and improve, at the same time, how can we keep our mind calm, peaceful, and how can we try to bring the change? How can we try to improve from that state of mind instead of from the mind of anger, hatred, disturbed minds? As I mentioned, one of the way to look at those is understanding and accepting is part of the life, and is the nature of samsaric life. When you don't understand that, then when things happens in our life, things that happens that we don't want, that we don't wish for, then it becomes much more difficult to deal with that, because we are trying to go against something that is part of natural life. So not only we experience that situation itself, but emotionally, mentally, we experience a lot of more pain not being able to accept and deal with that, whatever change that might have happened. For example, we can see in our life with many things. 4 seasons, some people like the summer more than other seasons. Some people like winter more than other seasons. Some people like the spring or autumn more than others. Not only some people like different seasons of the year, but some people dislike the other seasons. Maybe some people doesn't like winter at all, the cold, the winter. Some doesn't like, hot summer in certain places. They don't mind the cold. Despite that, there is something that you like and there's something you don't like. But at the same time, we understand this is a season. It's a natural. Season change comes and goes, and it's a natural process. So you don't try to fight against it. Even you don't like winter, but you get prepared for that. Whatever you need to prepare for the winter to come, and you accept that is part of that. And it will come and it will go. And being able to accept that is the whole, that make you less painful and less, fighting against it. And, even though you don't like it, but still, you accept it, that makes it much more ease. You just prepare for that, how to deal with that coldness. On the other hand, if we don't accept, then, then we keep on, why is happening? It shouldn't be happening, it shouldn't be snowing, it shouldn't be cold. Why it is happening? And so, you have more struggle in your mind. And with that more struggle in your mind, there's more unease and less calm, less peace. The same in our life, Because when we don't understand that, then when something happens in our life, then we started to, why this happened to me? It shouldn't happen, It's unfair. All kind of things, Why this happened to me, my family, my friends, here and there? It shouldn't be happening. Did I do something wrong? Am I bad persons? Is our family bad person? Did we do something wrong? All these kind of thoughts come and disturb your mind. On top of whatever situation is happening, you are creating on your mind so many, those with that kind of caution and with that kind of confused mind, you create much more pain and suffering in yourself. On the other side, it's not about, shouldn't have, of course, it shouldn't, in terms of, it shouldn't happen to anyone, but it's a natural, samsaric life is that, it happens to everyone. It happens to everyone. Of course, for some, it happens more bigger, smaller, more or less. But in samsara, we all go through that. We all experience that, So understanding the nature of that and accepting can help to have more accepting, through that acceptance, more calm and peaceful. Of course, accepting, as I mentioned before, doesn't mean, that you don't try to improve the situation. You don't try to change the situation if there is a way to change and improve. While you still try to do that, but at the same time, there is sudden acceptance. It's like, you don't like the winter, and the winter is coming, it's cold, but at the same time, you accept that. At the same time, you try to keep yourself warm in whatever way you can keep it warm. If there is a way to keep you more warm, you try to do that. But on mental level, you are not always fighting for truth that against the reality. And so that is one way to kind of help us to find more calm, more peace in dealing with the challenges, the storm of challenge, problem, obstacles. And another way, how we feel whether about situation is all in our perspective, is all in our perspective. And every situation can be looked with different perspective, or understood different with a different perspective. And how you try to look at the situations, depending on your perspective, you have different feelings and different state of mind, whether it lead to disturbing mind or whether it lead to more calm mind, And so there are many different way of looking at situations, So again, trying to find, learning in our life, trying to find something positive in all of those challenges and difficulties. If we try to find something positive in that, you can always find something positive, finding the light in the darkness. It's all in your mind. If we learn to do that, we can always find something positive, some light within the darkness. But if we don't learn to do that, then all we see is darkness, negative. And you can't see any light. You cannot see any positive. And if you cannot see, you cannot feel any positive, any light in that, then of course, that will make us very disturbing, negative, discouraged, depressing, all of that, can lead us in a lot of anger, hatred, frustrations, And through either of those different feeling emotions, then, it take away our inner peace and calmness. Mm. That is how many people deal, including like Dalai Lama, many of other Tibetan masters, where they have encountered, so much pain, sufferings. Despite all of that, many of them have no feeling of bitter, anger, hatred towards those who killed, millions of Tibetan peoples, hardly any family who have not lost one of family members, destroy, their culture, their identity, there's all that represent their spiritual, all of that, despite that, many of them, despite all of that, how much oppressions, pain they experience, continue to experience. Despite that, many of them have no bitter and anger, hatred, feelings towards those. And then, some of them, even they have some frustration, some anger, but relatively less compared to many that you see in other part of the world when they encounter such pain, situations, sufferings that creates so much. And one of the things that helped them is, to see, something positive in that, And you have no options, You can just try to focus on negative, or you can choose to focus intentionally on something positive and trying to find something positive, trying to find something light in that. And by doing that, by being able to find something, by being able to feel that, then it doesn't lead to that kind of so much bitter and anger and hatred. And that doesn't destroy their mental peace, happiness, nor it make them to create harm and suffering to others. The harm and suffering they receive, they don't try to, bring that harm and suffering same to the others. And thereby creating less pain and suffering in others and in the world, And one of the things Dalai Lama often, he says, that he, despite what happened, is very sad, so much suffering, pain, and, trying to stand up, trying to fight for, their rights, and so forth. But, with a calm, peaceful, loving kindness, compassion, instead of anger and hatred. And one of the things His Holiness always mentions, and many others also find, is that the way he looked, he says, in one situation, of course, it is, he had to escape, he became a refugee, he continued to receive, criticisms, attack, all of that. But he said, because of what happens on one level, because he became refugees, he met so many people, different spiritual people, all kind of people. And he is able to understand know, through that, he learned so much about other spiritual paths, other different cultures, different peoples. Through that, he is able to share the message of love, compassion, non-violence, and more, and he's able to reach out more people because of that. From that perspective, if he was still in Tibet, if he didn't become a refugee, he feel that might not happen. So again, there is side and negative side. At the same time, it opened another door. Do you get it? It kind of, that painful situation opened a new door, something positive. You can only just focus on the negative it did, or you can decide it, focus. Also, it has opened this door to this positiveness. So then your mind becomes more balanced. A lot of time with us, when something bad happened, then we only focus on negative side. And then, when you only see the negative side, and when you cannot see the positive side or the light and darkness, then it's much more harder to be positive. It's much more harder not to have the anger, the hatred. It's much more difficult to not to lose your peace and calmness. And many of the practitioners, they were able to not have so much anger and hatred, by understanding, from the point of view of, karma, thinking, we must have something in the past to then for us to receive that. And so by experiencing this pain, suffering now, at least we are purifying all the bad things we have done in the past. At least, that's cleansing and purifying some things. So again, from that perspective, it helped them, not to have the negative, bad feelings, because they kind of took somehow responsibility, thinking we must have done something in the past, similar, something past, harm and hurt to them, for them to do us to now. And so in that way, now, through that, whatever bad things that I have done or we have done has been cleansed and purified now, so that we don't have to go through that again in the futures. Again, that by understanding something positive in sense of being cleansed and purified, cleanse and purify. Help. Mm. So for many of them, that understanding or that, understanding, that belief has helped them dealing with their own emotions, to not to have so much anger and hatred, and find some kind of peace and calm, despite, what they have gone through, the pain, sufferings. Mm. Also, another way of looking at that from spiritual point of view, is whatever we are going through now, as an individual, as a collectively, whatever challenges, suffering, pain we are going through going through that, we understand the pain and sufferings. Having experienced ourselves that pain and sufferings, as individually, as collectively, we understand the pain and suffering of others. Our own suffering and pain help us to understand the pain and suffering of others. By understanding and the pain and suffering of others, and by feeling the pain and suffering of others, it helps us to feel love and compassion for those who are experiencing similar pain, suffering, or much more worse pain and suffering than ourselves. And so because of our own pain, it helps us to develop and increase our love and compassion and understanding of other pain and sufferings. From that perspective, this pain and suffering and challenge and problem, in a way, help us to develop spiritually, help us to be more spiritual in a sense, to feel more love and compassion for others. In that sense, then again, it is something, it brought something positive. This pain and suffering has helped us spiritually to grow, to feel more love and compassion for others, or understand. So when again you understand that, again you see the light, you see the positive in that pain and suffering. Definitely there is pain and suffering, whether it's physical, emotional pain and suffering you are experiencing. At the same time, because of that pain and suffering, it makes you more understanding, more compassion towards others who are experiencing similar or even worse than yourself. Mm. And once you see that light, that positiveness, then you don't have so much strong pushing or resistance and fight against that. And again, that helps you to find more calm, more peace, while you try to improve the situations, if there is any way. Mm. Therefore, as many of in Buddhism, it explained, and many others, your enemy, your problems, your pain, suffering is the best teacher. It's the best teacher to make you more strong. That is how we learn, How can we be strong? Is through those challenges, problems, sufferings. It makes you more stronger. It gives you more inner strength. So from that perspective, They are the best teachers. And again, when you see that, again, you find the positive, something light, positive, in every situations, difficult situation can be like that. And then, one of the verses that by one of the Indian masters, there's a verse, Shandeva. It says, if there is a solution to the problem, analyze if we have any problem, any obstacle, any challenges that we are experiencing, whether there is a solution to that or not. If there is a solution to that, why let your mind, get upset and frustrated and angry and worry so much? Instead, try to fix it because it can be fixed. Since there is a solution to the problem, since it can be fixed, put all your energies towards fixing that, towards improving that, towards making the change, because it can be changed, it can be fixed, it can be improved. Instead of letting your mind, to too occupied with all these negative thoughts, negative feelings, put all your energies towards that. And if there is no solutions to the problem, when you analyze, you find there is no solution to the problem. It cannot be fixed. It cannot be changed. If there's no problem to the obstacle, the challenges, the situations, why worry about it? Why give so much thought on that? It's just wasting your time, your energy. It's something you cannot fix, something you cannot do anything. Why let yourself, your mind to get in that? Instead, let it go. Let it go. And when you're able to let it go, again, you find more peace, more calm. Sometimes there are things that there is nothing we can do about it, but we spend so much energy and mind just thinking and thinking and thinking. For example, we can think of past, for example, things that are past, we cannot change. But we let our mind to be occupied so much with that. We let our mind to be too much occupied with that. What has already happened in the past that cannot be changed. Of course, we can learn from that, some of them, but there's nothing we can change about it. But we let our mind to be thinking too much, occupied that so much, and drain our energy. And through that, by thinking too much on the past, allowing ourselves to be so upset and angry of something, whether with ourselves or whether with others. And allowing our peace to destroy our inner peace, mental peace, and joy and happiness. Allowing through that, then, destroying our physical well-being as well. So therefore, as Shandeva said, when there is something that you cannot change, there's nothing you can, there's no point. There's no point of giving your energy and thinking so much about that, Hmm? Another way of looking at that is, no matter how big the problem is, no matter how big the suffering is, challenges is, no matter how you feel how big they are, you know, they are so, you feel, sometimes you feel they are so big that you feel like, it cannot be changed. It's not going to change, But the fact in reality is nothing can last forever. Even though we might feel it's always going to last, it's not going to change at that point. But the reality is the situations is conditions. The situation there because of many causes and conditions. And those causes and conditions are also there because of other causes and conditions that lead to that. Therefore, it's always changing, impermanent, transitory, changing, Because when you feel it could change, it gives you hope. It gives you more positive, make you positive and hope. When you feel it's not going to change, it can't change, then, it's much more harder to give you hope and be positive. But again, when we analyze, they do not remain forever, no matter how the big problem is. Even our experience, there have been many experiences in our life when things are going tough, difficult, whether it's individual level or collective level, it feels like it's never going to end. It feels like that, we can never come out of this situation. But we did. If we look back, we did come out of that situation. We did come out of that feeling, state of mind, or the situations. The storm did pass, even though at the moment it feels like the storm is never going to pass away. But the storm did pass away. And we have experienced that in terms of collectively through our histories, many things, we have had many, many bigger storms than what we are experiencing now in the past. And those storms did last for how much ever, but eventually they did pass away. So will whatever storm that is there, it will also pass away. Also in our life, individual life, whatever challenge, the difficulty that we might be going through now, even though we might feel that but it will also soon pass away. So again, bringing our own experience of the past to convince us, is kind of analytical meditation, talking with your mind. One side of your mind say, oh, this is not going to change. This is not going to pass. But then, the other mind, you use your reasoning, logic, analysis, This, I felt same way in the past with this situation, that situation, that. But with the time and with the, effort and certain things, it did change, it did pass away. So will this also change? So will this also pass? So it's important again to remind us, with such contemplations, um, to give us, more hope and to be positive. As I mentioned, we have many experience in our life, and also in from his story, we think of, so many big wars, first World War, Second World War, they talk about Spanish flu that took millions and millions, great recessions, all kind of things, difficult time, but all of them also pass away, things started to get better. And so is the situation in the world, is also, even though it seems never ending. But again, that will also pass. Better day will come, And it is important for us to remind ourselves, once we become negative, hopeless, that is the worst. When you become negative and hopeless, then you give up. If you give up from trying, then of course we cannot make change. The change comes when we keep on trying, when we keep on trying to change, when we keep on trying to improve, when we keep on trying to solve. But when you stop trying to improve, when you stop trying to change, when we stop trying to, then it's not going to come. And that happens when we lose the hope and become very negative, hopeless. So we have to find a way. We always have to find a way to uplift our mind. Regardless of how difficult it is, we have to find a way to uplift our mind, find a way to keep ourselves positive, give hope. That is the key. As long as there is hope, as long as your mind is positive, as long as you don't lose and give up, there's always possibility of improvement, changes, better. And so that is, different contemplations, different way of looking and at these situations that can give us hope, keep our mind positive, So that is the key. Of course, it is not easy to do that. But again, something whether easy or not, it depends on ourselves, how we train our mind. If we don't train our mind to, to look that way, in our everyday life, when we face small challenges, small obstacles, small problems, we have to learn to see something positive, something light in that, And slowly, slowly, when your mind used to that, your mind get used to that, and then you are able to see automatically something, find something light, something positive, whenever you are faced with any challenge, obstacle, problems. And when you are able to do that, you are able to see something, and you are able to feel something. And when you are able to see and feel something, at the moment, if we don't train our mind all the time like that, then of course one big problem happens, one big situations, problematic, painful, or then it is hard to see and hard to find any positive, any goodness, any light in there is hard because our mind is not used to doing that. But when you do train our mind in our everyday life, with starting with the small things, and then eventually, your mind get, and therefore, as again Shandeva said, there's nothing that doesn't become easy through the familiarizing or through training. Everything's about training. Through training, if you train something that seems impossible, difficult, can become possible and easy. And that requires training. And that means, again, as in our everyday life, training and learning to find something positive, even in the light, even the most in any problem or challenges, obstacles. Mm. And also, trying to keep your mind in the moment, in the present, also help us to find more peace and calm in our life. A lot of time in our life, either we focus too much on the past that cannot be changed, or we worried about too much about futures, or the possibility of going things wrong, which might not, we always think of, possibility of, all the different possibility of getting. Of course, there's possibility of positive, but a lot of time we think possibility of more negative things. What could go wrong? And with that, then it gives you fear, anxiety, worry. And with that kind of fear, worry, anxiety, then again, it destroys your mental peace and calmness, And also because of such fear, worry, anxiety, then also, it lead to other negative feelings, distrust and, anger and so forth. Even though we don't know the futures, what holds in the futures, but we spend so much time waiting all the different possibility that could go wrong, that could become worse and worse. And through such being so much occupied and so much thinking on that, then it creates so much anxiety, fear, and worry. We hardly live in the moment. Most time, our mind is either, thinking of past, futures, past which already gone, future which unknown. What we have in the moment is present, but we hardly focus on the present, So again, different practice meditations that help to keep our mind in the moment, in present, can be again another tools that help us mind to be more calm, peaceful. And then, to certain practitioners, for certain practitioners, they find other tools, to do again, certain visualizations of and recitation of certain mantras, again, it helped them to bring their mind in moment present, and through those technique or tools, practice meditation by being able to bring in the moment present. Again, it helps your mind to be free from all the fear, anxiety, worry, because of focusing too much on future, what might or what could happen in the future and so forth, or about the past. So there are many different meditation, different tools, different practice that one can apply, one can use to find more peace and calm, not only when things are going fine, but also when things are not going in the right directions, when there is a lot of problem, pain, suffering, challenges. Again, as I mentioned, whether in your personal life, individually or collectively, So yeah, maybe then I will open for some questions. If anyone has any questions. Thanks. Does anyone has any questions? Yes, please. Yes.
Where can we go when we're not here? And we need some kind of a reference, or like, can you give examples of the places? Yeah, we can go for information, or even an example of meditation, or, yeah.
Well, here's one place,
If I'm not here, right, all the other moments of my life, right?
Uh,
Like,
well, you
what else? Like,
you learn, and once you learn, you can apply that meditation in everyday life. It's like anything else, whether it's yoga or whether it's other form of exercise. At the very beginning, you learn it, different exercises or different yoga or whatever. Then you can apply yourself anywhere by yourself. As you learn, once you have that technique, that tools, once you have learned that, and same with the meditations, you learn at the very beginning. Yeah. Learn, and then you don't have to be in the meditation centers to practice. Once you know the tools, the method, then you can apply that any part of the world, anytime, So any part of the world, anytime, anywhere. First, you learn the technique. Once you learn the technique, then you can apply anywhere, anytime.
and then what is for the people who uses the philosophy, that's. Well, then what is the point of coming here?
Mm-hmm.
What is the point of being with that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you learn sometimes more techniques, more presentation by different teachers or different. Also, sometime when someone is not inspired by yourself, sometimes you are not inspired to do the practice meditation. And then when you come in the group, then again, that inspire you to do. It give you some kind of like boost, You come in the group, you do together, and then again, you take that energy, and then again, you do yourself. And so again, sometime, and that is same with anything, whether it's yoga or other form of exercises, even on physical. Sometimes by yourself, you don't feel inspired to do it. But then when you come in the group, and sometimes the group have different energies, the group energy, collective energies, and so again, that helped. And sometimes you come, so if you have any questions, if you have any challenges, again, you can share it with other members and discuss with others, So maybe someone who has gone through similar situation, and then they can discuss, any wisdom, any experience. So it helps you to support each others, support each others. But someone who can, basically it's so. First of all, like anything doing in collectively is more powerful than individuals. Even though all of us are doing meditation individually at a room, or we all come together and do together, collectively, it becomes more powerful when talk of collective. That is one thing, but also on individual level, is way to support each others and to learn more as well. Yeah. Any others? Yes, please.
So with any practice, I think focus is key and furthering your, ability. So living somewhere like New York is, I feel like focusing on anything is quite difficult sometimes. So do you have any tips or ideas on how to improve, like, be able to focus when we're starting a practice?
Focusing. Okay. You can start with the breath. That is one way of doing, on the breathing meditations. Or, some people, maybe they might find, again, some different people seem to connect differently to certain practice more strongly than others, And some people find, certain recitation of mantra and visualization and calming the mind and just, again, similarly breath, but instead of focus on breath, and then you focus on the visualization and cleansing and purifying, and then, being in that moment with that mantra, the sound. And again, that is one way of just focusing and calming and bringing your mind in the moment present. And then once that is done, then you can do the practice, whatever other practice you want to do.
What do you do when you have two people that you respect a lot and then they have completely different opinions on something, and you want them to be more harmonized, I guess, like try to bring them together a bit, but they're very sure that they are right to their instruments.
I don't know. No, I think skillful means, how can we kind of, and that one, I don't know how you do, individually, we have to find a way to do it, so it is a skill that someone needs, someone has, to be able to them to kind of bring where they are able to have create the environment where they are able to listen with more open and thereby, maybe they are able to change their perspective, and sometimes you try and maybe, we're not successful, and then sometimes we cannot fix, just as we want to fix everything, we would like to fix all the problems. And, sometimes we just have to accept, that we cannot fix, in that moment, that time. Maybe things might change in the futures, and then maybe we might be able to, but, I also had sudden that kind of conflict myself, and I tried and I was not successful. And then I give up and accept that that is what it is, I'm more talking about from, yeah, like my parents, we had some conflict and trying to solve that conflict, or trying to help to solve that conflict. It didn't work, and eventually you have to accept that is something, maybe that's what it is. That's what it is, and being okay with that. And once I was able to accept it, it was less painful. I think it was much more painful when you feel like you can fix it, and it shouldn't be like that way. And not being able to fix it, but once after some time, it lead to me. That is what it is, and maybe it's their karma, it's our karma, my karma, and so once I kind of stop trying to fix it, it was much better. Not in terms of their relation, but in terms of my relation with them. To get it, because trying to fix them, then it created a kind of, my relationship with them became worse in a sense. My father felt I was supporting my mom, not him. My mom thought I was supporting the father and not him. In the middle, you feel like that because and so then I think yeah, sometime I think we try, and then sometime we might be able to fix it, and sometime it's not the right time, not the right situations. Yeah, or maybe we don't have the right skillful means, the skill to solve the problem. Okay, if there's no caution, then we will yeah conclude here. Due to the merits of this virtuous action, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Jigden kamde pende malu pa kangle chungwe sambe yeshe no garden chungme tenze gyaso la sowa deso tuje lundo sho. Fearless teachers and assembly of the children of the victorious one, Savakas and Pradya Buddhas, victorious Losang Father and Son, alone with the lineage master, all the objects of refuge, infinite land, please bestow the virtues and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through the explanation and practice. You are the emerald of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of victory, one's teaching, the soul gave way through which all benefit and happiness emerged, and for the other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great wave of Bodhicitta of the children of victorious one, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortune disciple. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.